Hi friends, Phil Cicio here. I wanted to share something with you today that is quite compelling to me, and it really stems from a quote I read quite a while ago from Henry David Thoreau. He said that the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. Think about that quote for a moment. The mass of men and women lead lives of quiet desperation. And I thought about in this period of time that we're in right now where, we're facing this pandemic, we're facing all kinds of turmoil, and what people are going through right now, right? Whether it is a loss of a job, illness in the family, losing a loved one. And most people, right, they take that information and then they just suppress it rather than express it. And that can be really difficult. And so many people, many of you watching this right now, are going through some time right now where you are dealing with something difficult. And I don't want this to be a negative video, and I hope to be able to inspire you to something greater than just being in a state of quiet desperation. That's my goal here. But what I found is this, right? Everything is always in motion, right? Nothing is ever in a fixed state. There's nothing that's standing still. So whatever you might be going through right now, you should know that this too shall pass. I mean, think about this for a moment, right? You're either in a mess, right, which some of you are. You either have come out of a mess, which some of you might have just come out of a mess, or for those of you that aren't in a mess or just came out of a mess, you're probably going to get in a mess, right? At some point in the future. It's just the way that life works, right? Things aren't always perfect. So we're either in a mess, we just came out of a mess, or about to get into a mess. And so if you recognize this and expect this, right, then you can manage it better, right? We can't expect to always just have everything go well for us. The challenge is when we're in a mess, are we living a life of quiet desperation, or are we able to find people in our lives that we can express this to, right? So the first thing is to find someone that you can kind of express it to, that will sympathize with you and live in it with you and understand you and even agree with you. But then there has to be that moment where you move past that person who's just sympathetic and find somebody who will help understand you but move you out of that, right? So if you don't express yourself to someone like that, that can move you beyond your current circumstance, then you'll continue to live that life of quiet desperation, and other people will agree with you, and that may feel good, but it isn't the healthy choice. It is in the short run, but not in the long run. We want people to move us out of that, okay? So that's the one thing that I wanted to share with you. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, what I've found with many of my clients and just people in general, family members, when something bad happens, we have a difficult time that we're dealing with, oftentimes when that happens, we end up knocking over a whole bunch of other things that are actually going good for us, right? It's like the domino effect, where one bad thing happens and then everything else gets derailed. Here is where you really have to have resilience and make sure that when something bad does occur in your life, if you're going through a difficult time, that you really become like the force field for everything else that is good in your life, right? So let me make this really simple. Let's just say that you had a difficult day at work. Something bad happened, or maybe something really bad happened at work. And then things in your life that are going good, like maybe your relationship at home with your significant other or your children, is great. But you take what really went bad, this difficult time, you bring it home, and then you have it affect the relationship at home. You take it out on somebody at home and argue with them, right? So you took one bad thing and you knocked over something good. Or maybe you've been doing really good at taking care of your physical body, you've been exercising and eating right, but you just had a fight with your spouse or your significant other, and suddenly you find yourself saying, you know what, I'm not going to the gym today, I'm just gonna go get a bag of chips and eat them. And so we took something bad and then we took something good and we knocked over that good thing because of the bad thing. We let it spill over, if you will. Or if we want to go a little bit deeper, maybe you've lost a loved one, right? And that's difficult. I know that I just did. I lost my dad. And when we lose a loved one, that's a difficult time for us. But we have to make sure that we're not knocking over all the good things in our lives as well. Other relationships with people that love us, other relationships that are fun in our lives, right? Where we stop associating with people because they like to have a good time and I can't have a good time because I'm dealing with this difficult time. And so we knock down that relationship. Or we destroy a relationship with our children or other family members, that we make our difficult time more important than them. So we knock over the good things in our lives oftentimes because of the bad things in our lives. So be really careful to be resilient and make sure that when something bad happens, whatever that might be, an illness, a death, a job loss, whatever it might be, or just being stuck at home in this pandemic, that we don't knock over all the things that we work so hard to have positive in our lives. This way we can be resilient, we can have hope, and we can move out of this difficult time much stronger than we were before we got into that difficult time.